The island of Sodor was entering its busy summer season. The weather was wonderful in the summertime, and the charming town, shops, and beaches brought tourists and enthusiasts from all over the world. More visitors meant more passengers and more goods trains and a lot of coronation. This year, the Fat Controller was anticipating record numbers of visitors due to the construction of a new airport near the big station. Airplanes from many different countries could now travel directly to the island of Sodor, which was convenient for tourists but made the days very busy for the buses and the trains. The Fat Controller realized earlier in the season that he needed more help to handle the heavy passenger traffic. The other railways were busy too, and it turns out that there was only one engine available, a diesel, but not just any diesel, but the same diesel who came to the island many years ago had sucked a boiler hat into his boiler. Not him, said Gordon. It's disgraceful. Disgusting, put in James. Despicable, said Henry. Maybe he's changed, said Percy. It's been a long time. I hardly doubt that, Percy, grumbled Gordon. You just can't trust those diesel engines. He said we were all out of date and tried to show off to Duck and Stepney, but he got what was coming to him. Yes, added James. You can't trust those diesels. What about Boko? Said Thomas. You told me just yesterday that you really liked him. Eh, James? Well, stuttered James. I meant Factors, said Percy. You mainline engines are stuck in your ways. Let's give this diesel a fair chance. You never knew. The Fat Control might let him pull your express once in a while, eh, Gordon? Laughed Thomas. Or the Flying Kipper, Percy chortled. You can joke all you like, said Gordon. But the fact is that this diesel came here swinging about in the yard trying to prove that he's superior. You can't fix that kind of ego. Agreed, said James. Thomas and Percy looked discreditable. See ya. I think the only egos on this railway belongs to you three. Thomas and Percy huffed out of the sheds, leaving the three mainline engines feeling very cross. Class 40 came the next morning, a bit reluctantly. He remembered what had happened the last time he came to the island and felt very awkward. I want to make a good impression this time, he told his driver as he sped smoothly down the line. I was young and foolish then. I learned my lesson. Of course, said his driver. Just be yourself and all will go well. I hope so, replied the diesel uncertain. The Fat Control greeted him at Knapford. Thank you for coming on such short notice. Since the airport has been opened, we had more passengers than ever before. I would like you to help with the express while you are here. Yes, sir, he said. Good. Run along to the junction. There you will pick up Gordon's express to take the evening enthusiastic service. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Class 40 was happy to have work, but was nervous to see Gordon again. Gordon glared as Class 40 approached. I don't know why the Fat Controller needs a diesel like you to pull my express, but I guess I must do what I'm told. Class 40 was hurt. Gordon steamed away without another word. The evening service went well, but Class 40 felt defeated. Coming back was a mistake, he thought. Maybe I should just go back to the other railway. The next few evenings went much the same way, with Gordon fuming about his express being pulled by a diesel. Class 40 kept telling him to give it more time, but he was getting frustrated. Then, one evening, Class 40 arrived at the station to find that Gordon and the express were nowhere to be seen. We're right on time, and Gordon's always is too. What's going on? The station master came up. With him was the Fat Controller. You just missed Gordon. He flew to the station without stopping. I just received a message that he's stranded a few miles up the main line. Please take the Fat Controller with you to see what happened. The Fat Controller boarded Class 40, and they raced up to the rescue. They found Gordon sitting still on the line. Gordon normally filled up on water when he stopped at the junction, but he had failed to do so and had run dry. The passengers had crowded around him, telling him what a bad engine he was. The Fat Controller was very cross. Gordon, it was very reckless of you to speed past the junction. Not only you ran out of water, but your passengers will now miss their boat for their evening enthusiast trip. I am sorry, sir. Why did you not stop? For a moment, Gordon didn't speak. He looked embarrassed. I didn't want to leave my express with the diesel anymore, so I decided I should take the passengers all the way to the boat myself. The Fat Controller was livid. Not only am I disappointed in your lack of judgment, I am horrified that you let your opinions of diesels get in the way of your duty to get your passengers to their destination safely. The boat company will have to refund these passengers their tickets and will have to get them back to their homes. I am very, very disappointed in you, Gordon. Gordon looked depressed. The Fat Controller turned to Class 40. I know it's late, but may I ask you to take these passengers back to their homes? Class 40 beamed. Of course, sir. I would consider it an honor. And so it was arranged. The diesel traced Gordon's route back up the main line and got the passengers back home in record time. As the summer season calmed down, it was time for the diesel to return to the other railway. Thank you for your hard work. You have been much more dependable than some of my mainline engines. I know last time you were here we had some issues, but you have proven that you have learned your lesson. I will have to send your controller my highest recommendation. Class 40 was relieved. He had put his best wheel forward, had been himself, and was rewarded. We will miss you, said Thomas and Percy. Come back to visit soon. I will. Gordon, on the other hand, was in disgrace. The Fat Controller had given him limited privileges until he could learn to behave. You just can't trust those mainline engines, called a voice from no one in particular. Yes, their egos are too big. They can't be fixed, called another voice. All Gordon could do was close his eyes and pretended they weren't there.